This is our design group for the DFW Nerd Nighters design contest. This is our vlog number 2. We're going to a little bit tonight about our design. We're going to go through the contents of our box. We haven't opened it up yet. And I think that's going to be the majority of what we're going to talk about. So we'll start with our box. We got a nice letter from JR, and then the Panda box. I've unwrapped it already, but I haven't opened it up, so we'll pop it open and see what all we got. It seems to be pretty standard for the most part, but this will be the first time we get to see all the colors of our components. Looks like 3 boxes of cards, and we got the 3 different thicknesses: the black core, the ivory core, the gray core, in the designer's toolkit. And then inside the Panda baggie, we've got our player color cubes. It looks like we got yellow, black, red, blue, and purple. Oh, it looks like we might have a little bonus here, guys. The dice and the 6 side, we were hoping that the 6 side would be the Panda icon, and it is. It
looks like it is on just one of them, though.
No, the other one is too. It's just kind of, it's hidden. There's the 6 side. There's the ones on both of them are here somewhere. It looks like we got 2 punch boards though.
Uh-oh.
So, one of them's mildly sticky. There's a spot where it looks like the 2 were stuck together. So I don't know. I don't know if we get to use that extra component or not. I'll have to ask JR.
It came in the box.
Ask everybody else. Got a mildly sticky Panda's token there.
We got. Oops, I'm gonna switch the focus so it stays here for a second. Our gems are blue.
Yes, I don't have to change anything.
Looks like instead of a soldier, we got like a ghost.
Interesting.
Okay.
Looks sort of like a genie.
Yeah, it's like wrapped around. It has like a wispy tail.
I like
we
that.
still we have the mouse, so that's the same.
Yay, Tilda.
And then our little panda token, the little panda butt.
Aww. That's very important. The butt.
Uh-oh. Oh, there it is. The dragon coins, we got those.
They're different colors.
They are different colors. And they're both 1s. I think some people got 1s and 5s or 1s and 3s. But these are both 1s.
Well, that's good.
And then our resources, we got a brick and a gold. Unfortunately, we did not get 1 extra brick. That's what we were really hoping for. And then the discs in the same 5 colors. And that looks like that is it. So, I think, what's everybody feel like? Are we all pretty happy with that?
Did we not get card stands?
Oh yeah, the card stands were in the dice. Yep.
Okay. Okay, just make sure.
Yeah,
So,
maybe we can do something with the card stands and these tokens, the punch-out tokens.
Well, we already
Fit
are using the card stands for something.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
We have a purpose.
Yes. So no big surprises except for that extra sheet of punches, which
And
I
the
don't really think.
ghost versus the soldier.
Yeah, and the ghost.
Which might work better for us.
Yeah, theme-wise, it's not a big deal either way, but make sure I put everything back in here. I don't want to lose any components. So the other thing we want to kind of do tonight is we want to go through and kind of walk everybody through our concept. We did the majority of the design work 2 Saturdays ago when we first met, the very first day of the design contest. And I think we played, I don't remember how many times we played it that night, but we were pretty happy with it for as quickly as it came together. So I'm going to switch over to Travis's screen for everybody, and I'll let Travis kind of walk us through what we got here. Maybe.
There we go.
After this dramatic pause.
Unless I was just Travis talking, in which case it didn't work.
Dun dun dun.
Are you there, Travis?
Yeah, sorry about that. Making sure I'm in focus.
You're
So
fine.
when we set up the board, we place this piece in the center, the one with the panda token, which is kind of a firefighter, but that's not the point. And also this panda head token, which is just a black disc, but that's not the point. And all of these other cards come out randomly. Many of them will be double-sided, so there's additional replayability. Each one of the resources that is not the cubes or the discs will be on one of these cards. See, this is a gem card, our brick, our gold, and even the characters have specific spaces and an additional token of the same type. After the board is laid out, you randomly determine a start player, give them the square panda token, and they will place either their cube or their disc. The cube is placed on this side of the board, the disc is placed on this side, and after each person has placed one of them, it loops around the opposite way, counterclockwise, to place the other piece. You have one side is discs, one side is cubes. Then the first player takes their turn. On their turn, they choose either their cube or their disc and swaps it with their neighbor. And it does loop around to the opposite side of the board, so you're never stuck on one side. I'm going to use green because green's on the top right now. If green were to move, they would then have the option to move one resource anywhere in this row. It is you can see the whole thing. It's a 5x5 grid. So all of the cubes, all the players will have their own intersection on the board. So if green moved over here, they could then choose any one of the things in that row or column to move toward them, away from them, or off to the side, not going diagonally. So in this case, this player wants to take this gem and move it over here. You find the intersection between the cube and the disc, and you pick up you perform the action on there, and this one is, read that, +3 victory points. So that player would gain 3 victory points. I'll show you on the scores record that's in front of me. The player has 2 cards. He's brought it back that are that color, and they have the victory points listed on them to keep track of those. They would pick up all of the resources on there and keep them for themselves. Then the next player would go and goes around in a loop until each player has taken a turn. At the end of that turn, they then have the option to flip over one of their victory point cards. Each player starts with a random 1 gem, a 2 gem, a brick, and a gold. And that's how much it costs to place those to flip those cards over. When flipped over, they are worth an amount, they have listed an amount of victory points, a reminder of what resource was used, and some ability. Some happen every turn, some happen are triggered by different events, and some happen when they are flipped over just that one time. The best abilities are the ones that cost 2 gems because they're the hardest to pull off, and the lowest abilities are on the gold, but the gold is worth a lot more points. If a player, the coin, you might notice, is not used for any of those, to unlock any of those cards. Instead, on your turn, if you have the coin, you can give it to another player, and they are forced to give you the resource of your choice. If I wanted a 2-gem card, but I only have 1 gem, I can give this to somebody else to steal their gem from them. The other 3 things that you can pick up from the board are the panda token, the mouse token, which will be a card in a standee, and same for the ghost. Let's see.
Travis, what's the drawback to giving somebody a coin?
The drawback to giving somebody a coin is all of the resources are worth points at the end of the game. If you have a leftover gem, it's only worth 1 point. The leftover brick is only worth 3 points, I believe. 4 points for the gold, but each coin is worth 8 apiece. There are 2 coins on the board, and there's no way that they'll get put back on the board. They'll only belong to the players, and it's almost guaranteed that both of them will get picked up during the game. 8 points is a very large point swing in this game.
And what does having the tokens for each of the minis or the figures allow a player to do?
So the figures are not actually picked up from the board. They will always stay on a location. But the token will get picked up. This one is the panda token. At the start of your turn, if you have that token, you can move that character 1 space, either way. Now, any way, not diagonal, 1 space. The mouse, when the mouse moves, it also moves any resources. Sorry, I need to put this somewhere you can see it. When the mouse moves, it also moves any resources that are with it. Resources can't move out of a space with the mouse because it's a pack rat. The soldier, if it is in the same place that you're picking up resources, in this case here, you would get to fight somebody, try to take one of their resources. It's a ghost, so it's probably possessing them. Each player rolls 1 of the 2 dice, and if the person that activated the ghost rolls higher, then they take any resource of their choice. They can take the character tokens, as well as the coin, or anything that's used to unlock cards. The third one is the panda, and the panda behaves very differently. Instead of the panda always stays on the location card that it's on, and it moves every card in that row or column the same direction, moving all of the things that are on them, and moving the card on the end to the opposite side. The panda also does one other thing in this game. If I wanted to buy a card, say this 2-gem card, I flip it over and I put 1 of those gems there, 1 of the gems in an adjacent space because it was the 2-gem one, and then I roll both dice. I'm going to stack the dice here for you. With 4 and 4, I have to place the panda in that space on the board. So from the start, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can't see. 3 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The panda moves off of that location card and onto whatever location is at 3 and 3. There is a good chance that in a 5-player game, the panda will change its location every time, just determining where the new resources are going to be dropped at. Now, if it's not identical, if it's 1 and 3, there are 2 different places it could go, because you get to choose which one you want to use for each. So 1 and 3 could be over here, or it could be over here. On this die, it's a 6, but on the actual dice that we have, it will be the panda symbol. The panda symbol is wild, and you can go to any of those spots. So a panda and 1 would allow you to go on anywhere of this row or anywhere in this column. If somebody has purchased all 4 of their cards, they have them all flipped face up, the game will end at the end of that buying round. Everybody else will get to buy their cards, but after that it will immediately end and the scores will be tallied. Now, a lot of these cards are worth victory points, which we're keeping track of through the course of the game when you landed on there. And then across these cards, they are also worth victory points. The 1 gem is worth 3, 2 gem is worth 5, the brick is worth 7, and the gold is worth 10. And then we add up the additional points for any resources you have left over. The tokens for the characters are not worth any points. And as mentioned before, gem is 1, brick is 3, gold is 4, and each of the 2 coins, which will almost definitely belong to the players at this point, are worth a whopping 8 points. Whoever has the most points at the end is the winner.
Very good. So that's the overall gist of the game. We've been discussing about theme, and people have put forward a couple different ideas. Who wants to talk about that a little bit?
I guess I can. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of the design stuff this past week, and one of the major ones we've landed on is space themed, just because of how the panda moves in relation to everything else, and how it is a grid, and you're sort of just pushing and pulling things, and it seems very like gravity based, and there's also a lot of strategy to it. So we decided to go with a space theme for right now. So I've been doing a lot of the design stuff for that. So I don't know. I'm gonna try and figure out how to show that off. What do you want me to show off?
If you do, over on the left-hand side, you should be able to. The second one down should be screen share. It should be a green box with an arrow, and then it'll ask you what you want to share.
All right. Well, 1 second. Let me pull this up real quick. Do you want me to do the spoiler?
Yeah. So let's talk about the action card first.
The action cards.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there is. Here I have made all of the cards for the one side of the game. Obviously, some of these are going to be two-sided, but as you can see, all of the location abilities are on there. And then in the corner of some of them, you'll see they have sort of a white overlay with something cut out of it, and the icons will match the resources and starting places for the miniatures and their tokens. So the square one is the brick, the circle ones are the coin, the one that looks kind of like a gem or a diamond is the gems, the brick-looking square looks like a gold brick is a gold brick. Then there's the mouse, the panda, the ghost, which I guess I can change, and then, yeah, another gem. Yeah, so what do you guys think? Are we good with these?
Yeah, I like them. I think they're going to be nice and easy to read on the table. There won't be much confusion. And we may have some wording still to polish, but I think we're pretty close on there.
And it might be that we end up substituting symbols on some of the wordier cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, all of the ones at the end got really wordy. So I didn't want to shrink the text down too much, so it was unreadable, but I wanted to make sure everything fit on there, and you get the gist of what the ability is.
Yeah, we definitely need to look at those, that bottom row of cards, but I think overall they look pretty good. They'll be nice and readable. I'm hoping we'll have this ready for Unpub this weekend, because I'd like to get a couple plays of it in there. Yeah, very good, Ian. What about the what are we calling them, Thor? The armature cards?
Yes. Currently, they're called the armatures.
And I like that. I like that terminology.
All right, 1 second. Let me grab those here. I only have the one as of now.
That's okay. We changed it like 10 minutes before the show. So.
Yeah. So let's screen share again. This one. Share that. All right. So what you have here is the backside of all of the VP cards, or the armature cards. And what you'll see is it says what the name of it is, which for this one is the brick cards. And then you'll see one of these things on the map is lit up in yellow. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to collect all the different parts of the armature to sort of make the alien technology work. And this one is for this one, and then there are other ones. But let's see, where was the other one? I'll just show you the front side. So here's the front side, and the front side tells you how many victory points it's worth, and then the ability on it. So obviously this one, the brick is worth 7, and the ability is you can move 1 resource to an adjacent location, and that's as soon as you flip it up.
Yep, nice and straightforward. I like it.
It looks a lot cleaner in this iteration.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Usually it takes me a couple tries.
And I see you put the borders around the text right off the bat. That was good.
Yeah, yep. I liked the see-throughness of the other one. How it just looked like it was just sort of melting into the background, but yeah, readability is definitely something you got to worry about with stuff like this. So yeah. And then there's the 2 gem, which obviously it's pretty much similar to the other ones, only the color of the font is a bit different, and what you're going for is different. So that's a different lit up one. So these will all be face down in front of you. You'll be able to see all of them, and then you'll be able to look at them and see the abilities on all of them whenever you want to try and figure out which one you're going for.
Yeah, I like the feel of that.
I was going to say, have we thought about putting the icons as well? You know, the ones that were shaded out, just to have a little bit of redundancy.
Oh, like the gem?
Yeah, putting 2 gems on there, brick,
The
gold.
gem shape, yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty good idea, Ian.
All right, yeah, that should be pretty simple.
Yeah, good suggestion, John. Redundancy is good.
Also, language independence, you know.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good thing that it's tough to think about sometimes. So what else? I mean, does anybody else want to talk about the process, or anybody have any things they want to talk about?
We played the game several times. Jim and I played it over the weekend with 3 people that had not played before, and it took about an hour.
Okay.
The estimated play time, and I believe that's about what we had on Thursday as well. I think it's safe to say that a game with experienced players would probably take 45 minutes, maybe an hour.
Yeah. It seems to go pretty quickly. Once I know that night we were playing it time after time, and it was going really quickly.
Yeah, I think we played 5 iterations while we were designing in 8 hours.
And it's definitely a bit of a race and a struggle for the resources, which, I mean, that's kind of the theme, is that because the resources are so limited, you're constantly trying to snag them from the other players, manipulate the board so that you can build up, because there's some spots on the board that will let you build up combos. They'll do things like if you move your if you activate a spot, it'll let you swap any 2 discs, and if you swap yours with somebody else, then you can activate another column. So sometimes you'll have turns where you can pull off some really neat little combos or manipulate the board in fun ways.
And using the pack rat as well can be something that's fun, collecting those resources, hoping that nobody else grabs that space before you can.
Yeah, it always seems to backfire, though.
Oh yeah, I'm horrible at it. Every time I use the pack rat, somebody else just gets all the stuff.
Yeah, I think in the game we played this weekend, we had the gold, a coin, and a gem underneath the rat.
Oh wow.
So if we, I don't know about your playtest, Travis, but have we explored any more how to create a less than 5-player game with the grid issues?
With 4 players, it shouldn't be any problem to just include a dummy spot on the board. There's a slight reduced amount of player interaction because one of the strategies of moving your pieces is getting other people out of the way, keeping them from getting good things. So it doesn't hurt that too much. I think it's totally playable that way. With a with a 2-player game, each person would have 2 colors that they were collecting the resources together, and they probably would have 2 or even 3 of each of the unlock cards. Now, we only have the set to play up to 5, but we do have 6 of each of the victory point cards the 6 of each armature, so that we can have more variety in the game. And if you wanted to play a longer 2-player game, you could have each player start out with 3 of each, and that would last significantly longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we definitely need to try a couple play tests of the 2-player just to get a good feeling for it.
And I'm curious how we're going to do it with 3 players. We don't really have anything set up for that right now. Jim and I were suggesting for a while cutting it down to a 3x3 grid and having the spaces be 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and panda. No longer letting the panda be wild. And we have the card components that we could put it on the opposite side of the reference.
Right, and all those secondary cards, the ones that we are going to have double-sided, those could be the 3-player map if we wanted to go that way.
But we'd have to determine what resources didn't come out
right
in a 3-player game.
Yeah, and we could mark it on some of the cards, like only use, and I think we could maybe even shrink it down to a 4x4 for 4 players if we really wanted to.
The only thing that's weird with that is the die. Because when you're rolling to relocate the panda, it's fine in a 5x5 with a wild, or having, turning a d6 into a d3 so that there's only 3 spots for it. But do we add an extra wild, or do we have something that is more likely to get hit?
Or maybe you just subtract the dice and roll them twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, or we could do, Panda's wild, and 5 is your opponent gets to decide that number.
I didn't consider that, yeah.
That is a nice option.
Well, we could try out a couple things.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully you guys will get plenty of chances this weekend.
What's that?
Hopefully you guys will get plenty of chances this weekend with people there.
Yeah.
I believe that's all going to be after-hours stuff. That's not going to be at the booth.
Right.
But if you want to play this prototype, we are more than willing to play it with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's going to be... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, John.
I was going to say, Facebook, tweet, find out where we're at. We'd love to show it off.
Yeah, I think there's a few of the other designers that are in the contest. I know Isaac and a couple of the other people were setting up a meetup at some point. So it might be Friday after the designer dinner. So I'll talk to the other guys and see when everybody's meeting up, and we can meet some of the other people there, and then I'll discuss the designs. So one of the things that I think is interesting is, looking at the other people doing their design blogs. One of the things that kind of led us to this design was the fact that we restricted ourselves to 3 individual decks of 25 cards.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is an interesting restriction. and it was kind of self-imposed, but we stuck with it. Even once we talked about, well, the cards probably won't be that different. I just think I think that was a neat thing that led us to the 5x5 grid.
And that's
It
one of the
certainly
reasons we
did.
do what?
It certainly was the reason I wanted to try that.
Do you still have that paper where you wrote the 5x5 grid on there? Because weren't we all going to sign that?
The original board.
Yeah, and I mean that's a good thing in any design process. Start with some sketches. Before we even put cards down, we just kind of drew it on a piece of paper and had 5 squares by 5 squares, and then went from there.
And trying the mechanics, which were very different. The placement, just a lot of things started out a lot more fiddly, and now it's you're switching as opposed to placing them all each time. So there's a lot of things that got refined quickly because we were trying out, a turn, 2 turns, and then, adjusting accordingly.
Yeah, I think it says a lot to rapid prototyping and iterative design. When we were failing as fast as we could, we would throw stuff on the board, talk about what worked, what didn't, and then attack those specific problems or those good things, and build off of them.
Yeah, out of those 5 games, I think we only had one where we played with the same rules the whole way through the game. We were constantly changing something. This doesn't really work. Let's try this instead. See if this is any better. Or, this works, but maybe something else works. Makes more sense.
Mm-hmm.
And again, with the component restrictions, I think that led us to a much more mechanical approach as opposed to theme. Theme is something that we're trying to make the gameplay deeper with, but because of the components, we really started with mechanics. How can we use these sets of 25 cards? What meaning can we add to these components? Why do we want them? What will they do? As opposed to a theme that really you then explore the theme with the components.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun because I'm very much I guess I take a little bit of both approaches, but I'm usually theme heavy with my designs, and then try to design the mechanics around the theme that I want to work with and make them fit. But it was nice this time just starting with pure mechanics and not even caring about the theme.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the... Just keep doing that. I feel like a lot of the miniatures got a lot better theme-wise because they worked so well mechanically. Like the Panda, we used to have him like push actual things around on the board instead of moving the actual card under him, and mechanically that didn't work because it was just too much fiddling around with individual components. Whereas now you just sort of slide everything and move one card. You're not really worrying about all of the things moving one individual space as the Panda moves. And I think that got us to a little bit better into the space theme for it, because it was all about the gravitational pushes and pulls of the Panda.
Cosmic Panda.
We still don't have a name.
Oh yeah, we still don't have a name. We should talk about that.
Well, we didn't really talk about the themes that it went through. I heard something about a lemonade stand, which I guess I missed out on.
Yeah, we're not talking
definitely
about
not a lemonade stand.
that. Lemonade stand.
It was stealing lemons of some sort.
To make lemonade, of course, because that's what you do with lemons.
Yes. Now I know Ian had suggested. What was one of the themes that you had suggested, Ian?
It was like Chinese feng shui style, more being in the right place at the right time to make stuff happen. 'Cause that's one way that I thought it could have gone.
Motivational coaching, the board game. Living into your full potential with a panda.
And then at one point, when the panda mechanic kind of came in, I know I had mentioned like a factory theme. Does it have like a conveyor belt feeling? And then we were saying like when the cards got pushed off the edge, maybe flip them over. So it was like new product coming in on the conveyor line. What were some of the other themes that we threw out there?
Deep sea scavenging. I don't know that we talked about it before, but we played it with Chris over the weekend, and he said time travel would work well with this.
Oh, okay. That could be interesting. So what were Chris's thoughts? I'm always interested. I love playtesting with him.
Chris was having a lot of difficulty because he could not plan far enough ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you had to really be active on your turn, and I mean, occasionally you could convince somebody that their best move is not screwing you over, but a lot of it was just figuring out where you needed to be and how other people could help you get into that. He ended up actually getting the lowest score because he was not able to plan ahead, and that was
convince you.
Well, in the game we played, I thought it was interesting. I ended up getting the majority of my points by being stuck in the middle of the board around a 5 victory point card. I'd move towards something and I'd get moved back, and so that actually ended up being to my advantage, but it definitely was not the plan that I had in store for myself.
I still think that 5 victory point card is too much. That's a huge swing.
It's a huge swing if it happens more than once.
Yeah, I landed on it 3 times, I think, in that game.
Yeah, and we needed to tone that one down just a little bit. Now, John, when we did the initial design meetup, you had to leave a little bit early. What were your impressions when you left of how the game was?
I think that there are a lot of things that were broken that you guys eventually fixed. At that point, you were placing every single time both of your tokens. We also hadn't figured out how the chain worked if a space would be activated not on your turn. And so there's some things. At that point, the panda was a lot more fiddly. It felt like we had solidified the core mechanic very early. So the grid was in cement. That we were targeting specific spaces by where we put our tokens. At that point, it wasn't clear whether you took the resources and did the action or had to choose one of two. So there are a lot of questions that I think you guys answered in the following few hours that really streamlined the experience. The soldier made a lot more thematic sense now than, I guess the first few games it wasn't even used. There's a lot of things that just didn't happen.
I think when you left, the rule was the soldier starts a fight. What does a fight do? We've got dice. What does that mean? I don't know. It starts a duel.
Yeah.
And we weren't even going to solve that problem until somebody activated the soldier. Then we had to solve it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so it's definitely come a long way since the original couple iterations. Now, if we could just figure out how to package that storytelling game in with it, with our few extra cards.
I'm still telling stories about it.
Space
It's
news
really
tonight.
fun. Yeah. Well, I guess we didn't know how many cards at that point. So I think for that design, we were thinking we'd need around 100 cards. So
And
We probably could have done it with 75, but we wouldn't have used any of the other components.
right.
Oh, we would have figured out rules for all of those components. This is the mouse story.
Well, I mean, and I was thinking before we switched off of that we'd actually have like a city in the middle where things would be happening. So, as you mentioned different things in your news broadcast, you could move the mouse, or you could do different things. Call in the National Guard to look for the cast iron cell phone that has all the town secrets on it. Things like that. Ending with one of the newscasters dying in some horrifically funny way.
Yeah, that could have been a lot of fun.
No one else knows what we're talking about when it comes to that game. We've showed them the one game, where now we're just talking about a different game.
And I think that is probably the most fun from this process, is getting people that think in very different ways together. There's the graphical, there's the story, there's mechanics, a lot of bad ideas, a lot of different things we bring to the table. And to bounce those off, I think, has been helpful.
Oh, playing games with Earl or with Chris is great because they're both really mathy, and Earl in particular knows the math. He knows this is something that's never going to be worthwhile to do. This is something that's too good, that's going to be used all the time. So it was great to have him as part of the process. I mean, he hasn't been part of the videos, but play testing and the original design. And Chris is very strategic and plans way ahead, which didn't work for him, but it's good to have his input as well.
Yeah, Earl. I remember Earl. He very early on. He was like, "Well, that's not going to work. I'll let you play it, but it's not going to work."
and my immediate response was, "Why isn't it going to work? There's something I'm missing. There's something you're getting that I don't get, and I want to know what it is, so that we can stop wasting our time."
Yeah, Earl is definitely the math canary. If he says that's just not. And there's the other way, where if Earl says, everything else is okay, but I like your math, that's a huge endorsement. You know you're on the right track when Earl likes the math.
Yeah, I think I'm really excited overall. I mean, we got a lot of really good ideas. We got a lot of people with different skill sets, which is nice. I mean, I'm really happy with the team overall.
Should do a countdown.
What's that?
Should do a countdown to the end of the contest.
Yeah, we need to. So the next step, we need to play test it some more. Get as many play tests as we can. I'd like to try to get a couple different copies of it floating around just so people can play it. We've got a rules document, but we've got to work on cleaning that up. And right now it's kind of a living document, so we've got to keep solidifying it. And then I think we have to do a rules video to help teach it, which we kind of covered tonight, but something a little bit more in depth.
I can video edit it if you need it.
Yeah, we can shoot it. I mean, I've got a detachable webcam, so we could set something up here above the table and get a wider angle shot.
Something that uses the actual art that we want to use, the design, instead of my chicken scratches.
Yeah.
And on the last day, we'll think of a name.
You know what? I don't think we even need a name. It's that game that we made.
That game that we made.
Just call it #DFWNN.
The game.
I don't know. Cosmic Panda. I don't know. Sounds pretty. Somebody's probably done that, right?
Cosmic Panda sounds familiar.
I know there's Cosmic Wombat, which is a publisher.
Yeah, that's totally different.
Pandemonium's taken. We looked.
Yeah, Pandemonium. Although Space Pandemonium is not.
Hey.
I wonder if just Armature is taken.
Or Ligature if Armature's already taken.
Ligature. Yeah, so that's something we'll have to keep tossing around some ideas for a name, and I mean overall I'm feeling pretty good about where we're at. I think the game was engaging and fun, and we've played it quite a bit now. Um, Anybody else have anything to add?
Maybe we should
Well,
live stream us all playing it at one point.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. We should try to set that up. Maybe at game day.
are people actually watching this currently? Is there a Q&A function? I know somebody said they were going to be watching it, so I was curious.
I said
Uh,
maybe.
Yeah, you said maybe. Thank you, Ian. For your
Yeah.
I see no questions on the Q&A thing.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no questions. There's one viewer, and that may be Travis. We're not sure.
Mathis Hollister was going to be watching.
I don't think I've ever. I mean, do they live around here?
No, Norway.
Oh, yeah, I've never met Mathis. Yeah, it says Thor's going to be watching too, so hopefully he'll tune in.
Though I tried watching the first one and I can't stand watching myself.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of watching myself either. I never or listen to any of the podcasts that I do. I don't have any interest in that.
Well, for people who watch this after, do we want them to comment on anything, game names or anything?
Yeah,
That would be helpful.
I'd love to hear. If people tweet at me or comment in the video, we can all see it, or send us messages.
Do we have to share the prize with them?
No.
They'll get a special credit.
Ah,
You'll get,
on the box.
let's clarify right now. Anything that's submitted to us is just ours, free to use. We'll put your credit in the rule book, but nothing else.
Right next to the DeviantArt guy.
Yes. Unless the prize is BioShock Infinite or City
of Remnants. Yeah.
Yeah, then we'll send it to them. So I think that's what they were threatening to send me just because of my association with Flat Hat.
Yeah, what do you give the person who already has everything, right? something they already have, of course.
I have
published
you
game.
guys. What more could I want? All right, gentlemen. So Unpub is this weekend, and Travis, John, and myself will be going to that. So anybody's at Unpub, make sure to look us up. And then I think our game day is maybe the 21st, but I think the 20th is the deadline, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the 20th is the deadline, so we won't be able to do the live play then.
Could we possibly do it at Card and Board?
Yeah, we could probably do it the Thursday the 12th next week.
We're having prototypes just every single week now, pretty much.
Except this week, I'm
Well,
not
we're
ready.
taking this week off, right?
I'm sorry, Ian. The rest of us are having it without you on our way to
Oh, right.
Baltimore.
Yeah, we're going to be playing prototypes in the van, right, on the way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I am making a travel version of my game for the car trip.
What all are you taking down pub?
What's that, Thor?
What are you taking down pub?
I
Go ahead.
I have an RPG one-on-one combat game that I've been working on for a few months. It's gotten to a point where it's decent. It's not good yet, but it's all right.
It's something to do.
Sort of medieval combat?
Don't say that. Please don't say that about anything I'm working on ever.
Put that on the box.
Yeah,
Something
John
to do, John
Gilmour's all about PR, right? Oh, board games, they're just something to do.
If I ever get a board game published, I just want John Gilmour's quote to be, "I've played this, John Gilmour."
I played a lot of horrible games. That's not a good endorsement. And then, John, what are you bringing to Unpub?
I am probably going to bring the Dwarven dating game just just to play after hours probably, and all the hilarity that ensues.
I'm excited to play that again.
Same here.
Yeah, Cube Pusher Castle, which is the working title for the Euro-ish tech tree game.
Castle management is the way I describe it.
Castle management. That sounds like a job.
I'm the director of castle management.
Yeah. So what do you do? Well, I'm in castle management. Oh, do you have a tower? No, I'm more middle management. You know, the first wall, the one that everybody always beats up and goes through. You know, yeah, that's where I live.
The one next to the moat.
Yeah, it's got a view, right, of water. Smelly water, but it's water. And then I might. I'm still debating bringing the tower command game that I've been working on for like 3 years.
You definitely should bring that.
It's still 2-player only, so I haven't figured that out yet. But it's great as 2-player. So
I mean, you know, Z-Man does a 2-player only line. There's a lot of people that do some 2-player lines. So
Lots of people like 2-player.
The game I'm bringing is 2-player. It's all I've got. Don't take that away from me.
Yeah, isn't Twilight Struggle like the best board game according to Board Game Geek, and that's a 2-player?
yeah,
Two-player-
Highlander right around number 1.
2-player games for people with multiple personalities or only one friend. And what do you bring in, John?
Oh, a boatload of stuff. I'm gonna have the post-apocalyptic trucking game. I met up with Matt Riddle and Ben Pitchback last Saturday and played that like 12 times.
Did you pitch them on the Twinkies idea?
No, we're pretty sold on the post-apocalyptic. But yeah, Twinkies as a good, I think, works.
Yeah.
So I'll be bringing that. I'll be bringing the trick-taking game that I've been working on. If I don't sleep tonight, I might get the superhero game done to bring. And the storytelling game.
I have reason to believe that you think you have a lot more time than you do.
That's the problem.
It's a 10-hour drive to Baltimore.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Plenty
think
of time.
like eight and a half, right, is what we clocked from Toledo.
Yeah, with depending on where we what time we go around the Beltway, it could be significantly longer though.
Yeah. Yeah, but I figure with the 4 of us in the car, so the us 3 and Jeremiah Lee, we'll probably design about 12 new games by the time we get to Baltimore.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm still tempted to smuggle my printer along.
I'm almost positive I'm going to bring my paper cutter and supplies.
Oh yeah, not a bad choice. I'm bringing a bunch of extra sleeves just in case.
Yeah, who knows? We might come up with ideas on the way there.
Truly untested versions of prototypes. That's what we need to take to Unpub.
Oh,
And I,
Whoa.
yeah.
That's a really loud box of bits. Oh, you heard me.
World's largest maraca.
Maraca, the game.
There you go. That's a new mechanic.
Maraca dice, yeah. Whoever can make the most noise with their starting components goes first.
My children play that game all the time. I lose. All right, gentlemen. Thank you guys, and everybody have a good night.
Yeah.
Good night.
And you too.
Bye.
Bye.